So, hello and welcome to the bonus episode for the 1981 update of my quest bringing the automation game world to life in the game Transport Fever 2. And the goal today is to go from island to island. So from Al-Nemrah, this island in the very east, next to the Lua, and to go across the map, more or less as the crow flies, to Vianta, the western tip of Vianta. And we start at the port, and what we will do is board this hovercraft, which will take us to Al-Rilma and then take it from there. So then, yeah, the hovercraft docks and we can board it. And then off we go. Very high speed. So top speed of this thing is 93. So we'll pass a few tankers, which form the majority of the traffic. I think this one is one of the exceptions. This brings tools and machines to Al-Nemrah. So we might just cut across one of those other ships, because the pathing for ships is a bit off. But I think it's a feature and not a bug. That's yeah, very, very close. Excellent. It's a feature, not a bug, because that makes things way easier to set up ship routes. So that was a quick ship ride, and then we dock in the port next to Al-Rilma, and here we have to then wait for a bus. Here, or we just cheat and jump onto this bus that's going on here. So the outskirts of Al-Rilma, and this bus doubles as the regular commuter bus for the town of Al-Rilma, so not just the bus to the port. The visuals for all cities are the same across the map, so there is no regional difference, and well, it's probably actually in keeping with the Loon attitude that they will have trees and hedges and everything, and they would just water the stuff so that it doesn't dry out in the desert. There we see tank trucks bringing crude oil from the oil wells that we can see there in the distance to the port, the big oil port. So, and there is the train that we see that we have to board. So I might just when it starts leaving, jump onto that train, because being stuck behind the tank truck there isn't that interesting either. So now we're on the train, high-speed train, first to Bazara and then to Kronagrad, and here we see one ore train and I suspect an empty coal train in the Al-Rilma station. Oh, that's actually the counterpart. So, or to Advonia next to Kronagrad, and taking back goods, machines, and bread, I think. And after a short train ride, we are already at Bazara. So dropping off a few passengers and taking on a couple more. Almost full. Here is Bazara Airport. It's a very strong locomotive, especially for this very short train. But we will be limited by the cargo train ahead. look at Bazara, which also has grown, I think, a bit since the last update. And then we're heading across the mountain ridge towards Kronagrad. Yeah, and now we're getting speed limited by the cargo train ahead. Another cargo train. New locomotive and new wagons, which go up to 120, though the locomotive only goes up to 100. And this is a very busy route. Lots of stuff arriving in Al-Rilma. We see ahead the oil train. And here we can finally leave this track and move towards Kronagrad. So new bridges and proper roads here. Autosave is on. I think I'm saying that in almost every video I keep it on. I actually had the first sort of crashes here when rebuilding some complex stuff, but that's extremely rare that the game crashes even with this full and busy map. Though I'm not using that many mods, so that might help that as well. So we're already here. Need another cargo train with a bit of a gimmick on it, which is not in the version that you can download. So instead of machines, there are cars on here. So that's a mod, and you can imagine these are cars, sort of Tavarish from my main brand, in which is in Ahana, and where the Mara Machines factory is a sort of stand-in for that car factory. And so here Mara cars are then brought to the port in Advonia and then exported throughout Ahana. So what we do here now is to wait for one of the basin trains that will take us to Wazduk, from where we can take the bus towards Rosendorf, Tenelova, and that's where we will cross the border from Ahana to Gezmir. And we see one plane landing at Kronagrad Airport, one jet from Terzo, because it's green, so that's how I use the colors to distinguish which planes come where. You see one airport bus arriving, and then let's wait for the train that we want. So there is our train approaching, as we see the empty car train, or the partial car train here, coming back from Advonia to pick up more Mara vehicles. So here we are. That's the basin connection that goes counterclockwise, so CCW. And it's still steam. So the limited Ahana funds were all invested into making the cargo trains fast and diesel. Yeah, these are on their last legs. These passenger trains are positively ancient rolling stock, but not unrealistic, because in the former Eastern Germany they still had steam on mainline passenger and other traffic till the late 70s at least, if not the early 80s, as far as I know. So then let's go. So now we're leaving Kronagrad towards the north, make our way towards Wazduk. There we switch to a bus that goes to the Tenelova part of Rosendorf, Tenelova. We cross the bridge of that city by foot, and then we are in Gezmir and make our way towards Vianta. So to the left would be the entrance to the cargo station at Advonia, which with a port, and we're meeting more cargo trains. I suspect this came from Zemeshki and is getting coal from Al-Rilma. See some good car traffic. These buses go to Ruvatka towards the hinterlands, And we're approaching our first stop, Glensk. So, plenty of people waiting. Although they might be for the other no, they're there for us. They're there for this train. Because the other train will be on the other platform for the clockwise train, and our train is actually full. So now we're going through Glensk. And then turn right towards Kronagrad. Left would be the route towards Sarki, Novobeskov, Shmeshki, the lot. So the southern part of the basin. So here we see an yet unused steel mill. So this doesn't exist technically in this time period, but I've simply placed all industries, even if they're not going to be used till the end. And I didn't know which one I wouldn't use till the very end. And ahead we see Kronagrad. Some sim traffic and some trucks carrying stuff around. This one delivers goods to Kronagrad, I think. And I think I mentioned that before, so we'll see all types of cars. So Asian cars, which at this time are mainly Soviet or Eastern Bloc cars, EU cars and US cars, because I can't limit where cars spawn in the game. So we'll see also pink Cadillacs in Hana and Trabants in Gizmir. So here are still semaphore signals, so that's this route is only used by passenger trains, so this is still doing the old-fashioned way. Also no barriers on the roads, so no one has really looked at this part of the track, because the trains are also the same as they were 20 years ago. On the left we see steel mill. To the right we see a coal mine. Ahead we see a fuel refinery. And that's then part of the Wazduk area with lots of industry. And nothing else before here. So it's yeah, a bit of a neglected and underserved area. There isn't that much happening. Until we get to Wazduk. So here we see plenty of ship traffic. Still the old steamships, mostly. I think there are one or two exceptions. And then approaching Wazduk with the machines factory on the right. Wazduk is growing to the hills. The big port to the left. The big cargo station to the left and the passenger station to the right. And we exit here. And now we have to take the bus. First to the coach station, because here the bus stop is at this tiny road, which connects the station to the rest of the network, and then there's a separate coach then to Tenelova. So then let's wait for the bus. Shouldn't be long. So there we are. I would suspect at least. Yes. So that's our bus. And just in time there for all the other people coming out of the station that just came with us. Some acrobatics for the bus. And we're on it. So Wazduk has a bit of an odd layout growing into these hills and being limited by the factories that are now part of the city network, and also because it's further up even than the station. So we go straight uphill. And the coach stop is still in the same place where it was for the first horse carriages. One truck delivering bricks to Wazduk. There, the big smokestacks to the left is the tools factory, which is now an integral part of the city. Here's a bus stop, that's where we have to stop. So now we're behind a truck that unloads stuff. Not sure what that is. Food, I think. Could be food. So last bus stop before we get to the exchange for the coach, and we see some nice train traffic on the bridges here. So here is the coach station, which has way more stops than needed. I haven't deleted them that I had in the past when this was a big hub for horse carriage traffic. So then now let's wait for the coach to Tenelova. So there's our bus coming from Tenelova, and only 6 people waiting here, so it's not the most popular route, with everything else probably being more attractive and quicker. Because Tenelova is a sort of dead end, because there are no other public transport connections from there. It's the border town, and at this time the border to Gizmir is still closed in-game, so the market's only open in 1990. And that's how I modeled that, so that there is no other route going from Tenelova to anywhere else. The bus station might be in the catchment area of the bus station on the Rosendorf side, the Gizmian one, but then they have to, the Sims have to walk by foot from one bus station to the next, and that's very unattractive as opposed to options with more speed. So making our way back to Wazduk. I have to leave the city. So going back down. There we see the busy cargo station. Also the busy port in the distance. Here's the tools factory with all the lumber that's being used. Bit of a traffic jam here due to the train station being right behind, and plenty of traffic, as we see. So 2 cargo trains entering the cargo station, 1 passenger train leaving the passenger station. Ahead we see cars despawning, just having been stuck here for too long. So there's something that I'll probably have to fix at some point as we get even more sim traffic. But I built in a few relief parts so that at least a few cars can go across here between trains entering and exiting. And we're lucky we're through with the first batch, so that was the hard part. Now it's more smooth sailing, if you could call the Achanon roads smooth. And yeah, this is the advertised Cadillacs that we see in Achana, and the pink Trabant, so that's something you don't see every other day as well. And some US style pickup trucks, so the whole mix. So let's take the autosave to have a look at the port. And can we see some trains here? Not really. So we are following a truck that delivers tools to Tenelova. So now here we don't see anything, the bus in the way. So these trucks carry stone from the quarry in Tenelova. Ah no, then a truck in front, it was carrying tools, but these tools went to Volkov, not to Tenelova. So here we see a more typical Achalen road, so no side markings and not the widest one. At least it's paved. And just imagine the bumps and potholes in the road. Here is the train line between Sliza and Volkov. Make it through. And we have to go left and uphill. So Tenelova is behind this mountain ridge. Within this border town, the roads are not that well maintained. So they were looking at Gazmir, so the river is the border. So the left part is Rosendorf, the right part is Tenelova, and then there is a bridge across. So this is Tenelova. And here's our bus stop. So then we exit. Now we have to go on foot. Walking back a bit. Walking across the bridge, which is the border, past the imaginary border control. Papers, please. And we fall into the river for some reason. So here we now in Gazmir. Welcome to paradise. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. And here we wait then for the bus to take us to Willburg. So there is our bus arriving, taking us to Willburg, and while we're waiting, I just noticed a sort of funny thing that simply happened. So all the commercial areas of that city happen to be on the Gazmian side, and all the industrial, or almost all the industrial areas happen to be on the Ahana side, and this is, I think, very, very fitting. So there we see the industrial buildings to the right on the Ahanan side, plus the residential parts, and here are some residential parts as well, but also lots of commerce area. And yeah, I didn't plan this. I simply cut the city in half manually with the river, and this is simply how things spawned when I placed the city at the very start in 1850. So we have to turn around. Not sure which route this bus takes and when it will turn around. So we're getting a tour through the Rosendorf commerce areas. It takes a proper 180 turn. Yeah, cool. So some free sightseeing. And then one more mountain ridge to cross. One tunnel. So another border region where there isn't much happening. At least the bus is reasonably powerful, so that it doesn't take too long to get up here. And notice that we have now some proper roads here in Gizmir. So there is the Albe River and the Pade River, where they meet. Ship traffic. And Willburg ahead. New bridge here to allow as much ships as possible to pass under. Although that's not that important anymore, it was in the past. I reworked the stone line with a switch to large ships. But it's still a reasonably cool bridge. So this bus will take us all the way in front of the Willburg station. Here is the commuter bus or the airport bus, and it will look the same. Maybe I should give them different colors. There we see the cargo station and some trucks and some fuel lying around for Bad Neusund. Not the prettiest exit for the station, but there were some issues with the elevation here, and did really fix that. But people still can get into and out of the train station. So here is the coach exchange. So some nicely large buildings here in Willburg, which I think is the 5th or 6th largest city on the map. So here we are, and here we see houses being built in record time. So then let's wait for the train that will take us across Schemland. There it is, right away. So we're in luck, no need to wait. Can just jump right in and take this side entrance here to the train station. Where we see a stone train being loaded and a steel train waiting for more steel. And people not being run over by the bus for a change. So then let's follow their example and board the quite long passenger train here. Powered by a 216 or 218 locomotive. Diesel all the way here, because the mod for the German electric locomotives is unfortunately not on Steam, and don't think it's worth it for an intermediate mod. I guess no one will install that from a different site. So we have to wait, because the steel train has gotten more steel. Here is the small but busy Willburg port. And I guess we will be stuck behind the steel train till Pigton. The steel train goes all the way to Harford. So the steel comes from Erkhausen here, from the steel mill. And then this supports steel in factories around the Great Lakes near Harford and Crafton, and I think part of that steel even goes down to Tannenstein in Hedvige. We have to wait for more, so apparently there is one more train coming in, I suspect. Or I forgot a signal. That could also be the case. Nope, there is one more incoming. That's the counterpart. So the same steel train bringing no bricks. I might actually need one less. If these are waiting here, can probably even delete one of those, maybe? Let's see whether something else comes in. No, so it's, yeah, I think at the brink of still being fine. Might just try to delete one, or I will probably be able to delete one with the next generation of locomotives, which are then a bit more powerful, so the trains are even faster, and then I need less, in this case one less train, getting down to 2 from 3 currently. But otherwise, yeah, now we're on the way. See a few new train stations in the 2nd out of 3 styles in the game. So here in Rensweiler I rebuilt the station from the plain brick style to this green brick style. That's for the 2nd era. That's the ore train coming from Vinola and feeding the Erkhausen steel mill. Our train is nicely filling up already. And then through the tunnel, leaving Schemland, the German-speaking areas, for the French-speaking area, whose name always escapes me. Long tunnel under the Schwerthöhe mountain ridge. And here we have Chapelle, which got a bit of a rework to accommodate a very long cargo terminal. So I think this crossing here is new and replaced an old one that was a bit further west. And here we see all the logs that are now new and being transported to Aylesbury to support the Lanwick sawmill. Otherwise, plenty of people waiting. So that's the logs train, I suspect? Yes. So we should be able to beat that. And another ore train from Vinola. Some trucks bringing logs to the same. Just ignore that glitch of that pillar in the middle of the track. That happens with these style of bridges. Our counterpart, the other commuter train here in Schemland, followed by another cargo train. That one brings goods and all other assorted stuff, tools, machines, here across the cities up to Willburg. Everything that fits in boxcars basically, and take some bread back, I think, even. So here just a few people leave, a few people enter, because the majority wants to go to Pigton, and they either then from there to the north coast or to Harford, and Harford also has the airport. And the high-speed train to Edvisa. There are a few bus lines cutting across the Alps, but not that many, and they are slow, so I'm not sure how many people go from here via train or via bus to places like Berlau or Tersoy. So, about to leave the French-speaking area. That's the other logs train. Comes back empty. The steel train looks the same. It would just have bricks on it on its way back to Willburg. So here we see some towboats as the main ship's style for rivers. That's the steel train, because here are the brakes for Willburg. And I think now we saw everything that's to see here. That's the tank fuel train bringing fuel from Ellisbury again to Willburg, and then from there to the rest. And I think it also stops at Chapelle. And there's only one. Same with that goods train, that boxcar train before. There's also only one. So we are in Pigton. That's where we switch trains to go to Harford. Next on our way to Vianta. So there's a big bricks factory to the left, and yeah, lots of people are exiting here, and the only people staying here are those going to Ellisbury, but we are not among them. So then we're in luck. That's the train that we want, Harford Pigton. So barely have time to switch platforms. The autosave helps, maybe. So Pigton also has grown, and we get the first sort of high-rise here that exists in Era B. The only a proper high-rise is something I can promise for the final update, which will be Era C. Hopefully the cities are large enough that they actually get these high-rises. So here, entirely new trains, a box standard diesel locomotive, and then these bi-level cars, which were apparently all the rage in the late 70s in the US for some commuter trains, and Canada. And it's your logs train, having to wait for the train that we just exited, and let's jump aboard. Way to Harford. And we have to defer to the cargo train. I can't, unfortunately, prioritize trains in the game, so it's basically first come, first served based on the pixels where the signals are placed, and whoever blocks a block first as a train has the right of way, and then the others have to play second and third fiddle. So that's a Studebaker truck that takes grain from one of the Great Plains farms to the port here, and one of the local buses, and a larder, maybe Yamara. Though they weren't sold in Kazmir 1980 because the markets are still closed. Alright, so on our way to Harford. To the right would be the track towards the North Coast train line. So Durbridge, Polymore, CB, the lot. We're going left. Here to the left is the Aylesbury Cargo Hub, where we see the last remnant of the logs train vanish. And we're taking the ride across the huge bridge contraption towards Harford. And we seem to be in luck, no cargo train exiting Aylesbury. That's rare, although with these new diesel locomotives that we see here, they finally managed to clear Harford, Aylesbury, and Harford too. So some of them actually wait at least a few seconds before they're full again, and not just struggle to keep up with demand. So those made a difference. So no traffic jams here anymore. So the big no man's land between Aylesbury and Harford. Nothing's happening here. See a few trains, so some trains coming from Schemland, so the German style, and here lots of US style trains. So this one, oil, fuel, between Aylesbury and Harford. So we see a plane landing, looks like a BAE 146, the small one. And more cargo trains. This is slightly changed, so the passenger trains get their own track much earlier. So even if there were a traffic jam here for entering Harford cargo station, we don't care anymore. The passenger trains can go right through, and we're actually at top speed because the locomotive is limited. And here we cut across everything. Not much going north here, only the north-south passenger connection, so this looks more impressive than it is these tracks. The cargo trains going north actually have their own track to the very right, or here to the very left from looking here. That's the track that you can see there, where the other tank train is heading, so we don't see cargo trains here going north. So this is only passenger traffic, and that's much rarer. So we are in Harford. Plenty of people waiting, and now we have to take a train to Lawston, where is the port towards Vianta. So we're getting there. So that was our train, and we're in luck. That's the Zephyr to the Great Lakes, so that's what we want. So we can switch right away. And now make our way south. First to Crafton and then to Lawston. And there is still stuff lying around here in the Harford cargo station, but that's actually usually enough that the next train can grab all of it, or almost all of it. So here electrified tracks. For the high-speed express train Harford-Berlau, which is the metro liner. And here we see the north-south connection, a commuter train, same style as we were on before, whereas now we're on the Zephyr, dating back to the earlier part of the century, so it's probably going to be on its last legs by now, but still the best option for us, especially among the US car set. So here we can catch a glimpse at the busy Harford port, and some ship traffic, So this, I think, much less now with large ships and with these towboats for stuff that just is confined to the lakes. That made it actually much more smooth than having slightly too many ships for the water real estate as before. Having a 4-lane road next to the train tracks. The difference in game is that the 2-lane road has top speed of 80 kph, this one has a top speed of 100. But the cities are rather tiny, so that's why there isn't that much traffic on here. And the connections are probably pretty good. The public transport connections, so it's not that attractive to have their own cars. So approaching Crafton, the Winlay steel mill ahead with the 5 chimneys. In case you're wondering, the brighter tracks are the high-speed tracks with speeds above 120, so that's needed for the express train, whereas I've kept these side tracks and old tracks for the commuter trains, the standard tracks, the darker ones with the wooden planks, because they don't go beyond 120 anyway in commuter mode. So that was Crafton. So there we see the counterpart Zephyr coming from Lawston. And now we turn right towards Lawston, and left would be towards Berlau, towards Hedvija. So here we are, we exit, and then let's hop onto the tram that I've seen. Yeah, and this will take us then to the port through Lawston. So I have trams in all the capitals and Lawston, because in Lawston it made sense due to the city layout, and in the capital it's more of a prestige thing, and to have trams on the map because they're usually more useful in larger cities. We don't have any larger cities, so Harford has, I think, about 300, a bit less, whereas normally with standard city growth you could have cities about 700, 800 at this point in time, and then you need or want the trams in the cities. So it looks like we're taking the scenic route through Lawston. The other one would have been quicker, but anyway. Shouldn't be too long either way. I don't think we have been on a tram in any of these bonus episodes, so then enjoy the ride. There is the other port next to the oil refinery in Lawston. So Lawston has 2 ports, one that's on this river, which connects directly to the ocean, and one on the river that flows into the Great Lakes. Which we see ahead. So the cargo terminal right ahead, and the passenger terminal to the left, and that's where we will exit. I suspect it's the next stop. That's even closer to the Passenger terminal, yes, there we are. So that was a scenic tour through Lawston. And then we exit. And jump on the hovercraft, so that we don't have to wait too long. And now we're on our way towards Vianta. And let's see how many ships we pass through this time. I could do manual paths with the ship's AI, but yeah, doesn't really make a difference. And actually this seems to work. So we're going 86, I think we can go 93 or so. So we see Hedvija, Karlstadt ahead. But this is a Hedvijan ship because it's blue. Which is probably one of the exporters of grain towards the Peña Gazmian food production. So that was one of the new things, where you actually have import-export across countries. There is one ship being waited to load it with grain from Vianta, one of the two exports. And now we're approaching the Porta Minta passenger terminal. Where we exit. What I probably should do is at a bus stop here, although the coach is here, and yeah, hop onto that bus. That will take us to the Porta Minta station. Yes, Vianta has gotten a railway line. I think already last update, which I might or might not have shown it actually. So it's just again a short journey through Porta Minta, and then I think the next stop will be the stop next to the train station on Vianta. Bus is actually full. So there we are. That's the Vianta train station, or the Porta Minta train station. And let's exit and wait for our train here on this Seoul single track line. So there we see our train. It's an M300 diesel unit from the US car set from the 1930s, I think. But I think it would be fitting that something a bit ancient is running on Vianta on the Seoul train line. So then let's jump aboard. It's actually quite full. So then let's see what we can see on Vianta, where we haven't been before at all, I think. So leaving Porta Minta, and there are only two cities on the island, so Porta Minta on the east and Occia on the west. The other cities are represented by farms and forests, which are the two industries on the island. We might catch a glimpse of them, of some of them. So pass by, we see a few ships. There is a port, so there is something here somewhere. Probably can't see it behind these earth walls. So pristine nature. Okay, we got to the next port area, and I think there's a farm somewhere and the forest somewhere where logging happens. So here, yeah, here is the logging area, and there's the farm. Otherwise, plenty of dirt roads. The main thoroughfares are at least asphalt, but don't have center markings. And the rail lines mainly follow the southern road on the island. As the terrain allows. And there is Occia at the western tip of Vianta. And our final destination for today. So we made it across the map from island to island, more or less straight through by public transport. So there we are. So here's where we ended up. And this is where we came from. So we went all that way from Al-Nemrah at the other end of the map. So I hope this was interesting to see some of the lesser used or viewed parts of the map, because I envisioned for the final update and the final bonus we will be able to do a proper a round trip of the map with the few additions that will happen when the borders between Gizmir and Akhana open in 1990. So my guess is that 2021, so 40 years from the 1981 update, will be the year for the final update. So hope this was interesting here. Yeah, and see you then.